I never believed the stories. The ones whispered in the dim-lit corners of the hospital. The ones about the forgotten wing, Wing E. A hallway that no longer showed up on the current maps, and where no one was supposed to go. Just a storage area, they said. Condemned years ago. But on my third night shift, I saw the light flicker at the end of the hallway. The door to Wing E, locked, rusted, untouched for years, was wide open. I should have reported it. That's what any sane nurse would do. But I walked in. The air was colder inside, heavy, like it had been trapped there for decades. My footsteps echoed in a way they shouldn't have. The walls were stained yellow, not with age, but with something biological. The rooms were numbered but had no names. Everything felt preserved, yet wrong, like a memory trying to stay alive. I peeked into room 302. It was completely intact. Bed made, IV stand ready, monitor still powered, softly beeping, though it wasn't connected to anything. I turned to leave. That's when I heard the whisper. "Don't let them see you." I spun around. No one. "Who's there?" I asked, my voice thin. Silence. Then the monitor beeped louder. I looked back. A figure sat on the bed now, head down, body trembling. A patient that hadn't been there a second ago. I ran. As I reached the exit, the hallway behind me stretched unnaturally long. Doors began opening one by one, creaking loudly. Inside each room, shadows moved, watched, waited. I made it out and slammed the rusted door shut. When I turned back, it was sealed again. Rusted. Locked. The light at the end of the hall went out. I tried to laugh it off. Ghost stories and urban legends weren't new to me. But something about the way the nurse had said, "No one comes out the same," stayed with me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing the hum of fluorescent lights and the echo of wheels on sterile floors, though I was miles away from the hospital. The next day, my rounds were routine, until I noticed something odd on the floor plan posted near the elevators. The layout clearly showed 6 wings, but the 7th wing I had visited yesterday wasn't there. I stared at the map for a long time, then asked a janitor nearby about it. He didn't meet my eyes. "There is no 7th wing." I tried to joke. Maybe someone just forgot to update the blueprint. He just shook his head and walked away quickly. Later, while reviewing some files at the nurse's station, I noticed a folder tucked behind others in a locked drawer. It had no label, just a red sticker across the front. I waited until my supervisor stepped away, then slid it open. Inside were incident reports, dozens of them, all from Wing 7. The stories were chilling. Patients who vanished without discharge, staff who transferred in but were never seen again, sudden psychological breaks, unexplained voices. One report ended abruptly, mid-sentence, with the words, "I think it's watching me." I felt a cold draft brush my neck. Then, a voice behind me whispered, "You weren't supposed to see that." I turned. No one was there. I slammed the drawer shut, my hands trembling. I hadn't imagined the voice. I knew I hadn't. The air around me had changed. Heavier. Charged. Like just before a lightning strike. That night, I dreamed of the 7th wing. But this time, it wasn't dimly lit. It was pitch black. In the dream, I walked its corridor, led by whispers that came from no direction and every direction all at once. Doors lined the hallway, each one slightly ajar. Behind them, I could hear breathing. Some rapid, some slow, some that didn't sound human at all. When I tried to turn around, the hallway had stretched, infinite. I woke up gasping, my pillow soaked with sweat and the sound of a heart monitor still echoing in my ears. At work, things got worse. Patients began looking at me strangely. One elderly man gripped my wrist and said, "You saw it, didn't you?" Before breaking into terrified sobs. Another patient started screaming the moment I entered his room. He pointed at me with wide eyes and shouted, "Don't let it wear your skin. Don't let it in." But the worst came when I checked the staff schedule. My name had been moved. My assignment was no longer ICU. It now read, Wing 7 Permanent Rotation. I hadn't requested it. No one had told me. When I confronted my supervisor, her eyes darted away. "You've been chosen," she said flatly. "It happens sometimes." "Chosen for what?" I asked. She didn't answer. Just whispered, "It knows you now. You can't walk away." The next morning, I stepped into Wing 7. It was nothing like the rest of the hospital. The lighting flickered constantly, the walls seemed older, like they hadn't been renovated in decades, and the smell, not rot, not chemicals. It was something in between, like forgotten time. There were 6 rooms, each marked only by numbers painted in faded red. The nurse's station was empty. No charts, no computer, just an old rotary phone that rang once, only once, the moment I touched the desk. I didn't answer. Room 1's door creaked open slowly when I passed. No patients inside, just an empty bed and a mirror that shouldn't have been there. I looked into it. For a moment, my reflection didn't move when I did. Then it smiled. And I wasn't smiling. I backed away, breath caught in my throat. I tried to leave the wing, but the elevator button didn't light up. The stairs were locked. My phone had no signal. I was trapped. Each hour passed like a day. I heard footsteps in rooms I hadn't entered. Lights turned on by themselves. A woman's voice whispered my name from behind closed doors, always behind. Never in front. At midnight, the intercom crackled. "Room 6, it said. It's time." There was no intercom in Wing 7. I don't know what pushed me to obey. Curiosity, fear, something deeper. I opened the door to Room 6. And I saw myself, lying in the hospital bed. Wires attached. Monitors beeping steadily. Eyes closed. I stumbled backward in shock. The version of me in the bed didn't move. Then, the eyes opened. It looked at me, and whispered, "You're the echo, not the original." The monitor flatlined, and so did the world around me. I ran, down the hallway of Wing 7, past the empty nurse's station, past the doors that all slowly began to open on their own. Each one creaked louder than the last, and inside each room, I saw something different. A version of me, one in a straitjacket, one with empty eyes, one staring directly at me through the cracked glass of a door I never remembered passing. The building was shifting. The hallway no longer led back the way I came. The walls pulsed like lungs, breathing. The air turned thick and warm, like the inside of something alive. Then the whispers started again. Not just one voice. Dozens. All saying the same thing. "You've always been here." I screamed at the walls. I pounded on the door marked, "Exit," but it led to another hallway, shorter, darker. At the end of it stood the version of me I saw in Room 6. But now, he was wearing my clothes. Holding my ID badge. Smiling. "You left me behind," he said. His voice echoed like it came from inside my skull. "I'm taking back my place." He lunged at me, and I ran. I don't know how long. Hours. Days. But eventually, I found the elevator again. Only one button worked. Basement. I pressed it. The elevator groaned, the lights flickered, and then everything stopped. When the doors opened, I wasn't in the hospital anymore. It was a mirror of my apartment. Same furniture. Same smell. Same cracked mug on the table. But outside the window, the sky was blood red. My phone buzzed. One notification, Wing 7 discharge complete, and a final voice in my ear whispered, No one leaves the forgotten wing. Not as themselves. It's been 3 months. People say I'm lucky to be alive. They found me wandering near the old hospital site, barefoot and mumbling incoherently. No signs of injury. No memory of what happened. At least, that's what I tell them. The official report says the building was never reopened. Wing 7 doesn't exist on any blueprint. The elevator I described, gone. The security guard who let me in. No one by that name ever worked there. But I remember. Every sound. Every whisper. Every version of me that still roams those empty halls. They've put me in therapy now. They call it delusional trauma-induced psychosis. But last night, I found something slipped under my apartment door. An old hospital ID card. My name, my photo, my face. But on the back was a single line scrawled in handwriting I know too well. One of us had to leave. I just made sure it was me. Now when I look in the mirror, I hesitate. Is it really me staring back? Or is he still in there, pretending? Waiting.